The courtroom goes quiet when the millionaire smirks and calls Judge Judy just another TV prop. A few people laugh. She does not. She leans back, folds her hands, and lets the silence stretch just long enough to become dangerous. 10 minutes later, that same man is standing, voice shaking, eyes desperate, begging her to stop. What happened in between was not loud, but it was devastating. The smile arrives before the words do. Too confident, too rehearsed. The kind that assumes the room already belongs to him. The camera finds him mid-step, tailored suit catching the light as he strolls toward the podium like this is another boardroom, another deal he expects to close. He does not look at the plaintiff. He barely glances at the audience. His eyes lift only when they reach the bench, measuring, appraising, amused. The smile widens, polished and practiced, as if he is already in on a joke no one else understands. Across from him, Judge Judy sits still, hands folded, expression unreadable. She does not rush to speak. She never does. The silence stretches just long enough for the cameras to catch it, for the audience to lean forward without realizing why. The millionaire clears his throat, already smirking. "You know," he says lightly, waving a dismissive hand, "I did not realize this was going to be so theatrical." A few people chuckle. Not many, but enough. The plaintiff does not laugh. She sits rigid, shoulders tight, fingers knotted around a thin stack of papers like they might slip away if she loosens her grip. Her eyes stay down. This is not a stage to her. This is the last place she wanted to be. Judge Judy tilts her head, not in offense, but in assessment. "Is there a problem with the court?" she asks. The question is calm, neutral, dangerous in its simplicity. The millionaire exhales a soft laugh, leaning back just slightly, posture loose, casual, confident. "No problem at all, Your Honor. I just think we should keep things in perspective. This is television, after all." The words land. They are not loud. They do not need to be. The courtroom reacts before the judge does. A murmur ripples through the seats. The bailiff shifts his stance. Even the cameras seem to pause, lenses trained on the bench, waiting. Judge Judy does not smile. She leans back slowly, folding her hands, eyes fixed on the man who believes he has just proven how untouchable he is. The silence deepens, not empty, but heavy, like a held breath no one dares release. "Perspective," she repeats quietly. The millionaire nods, encouraged by the lack of immediate pushback. He continues, warming to himself now. He talks about success, about pressure, about how misunderstandings happen when people do not understand how business works at his level. He does not say the plaintiff's name. He does not have to. The implication hangs there, sharp and unkind. Judge Judy lets him talk. This is what he does not notice. She is not listening to his words. She is watching how he delivers them, the interruptions, the eye contact he avoids, the way his smile flashes every time he thinks he has landed a point. By the time he finishes, he looks satisfied, relieved, certain. Judge Judy glances down at her notes for the first time, then she looks back up. "And you find this amusing?" she asks. The smile on his face hesitates, just for a fraction of a second. Not gone yet, but no longer effortless. Judge Judy lifts her pen, taps it once against the paper, and says, "Let us start again, this time with the truth." Confidence becomes performance when it is challenged, and performance is what he knows best. The millionaire straightens as if the courtroom lights just brightened for him. This is familiar territory now, explaining, reframing, controlling the narrative. His voice smooths out, cadence confident, every sentence polished like it has been rehearsed in front of mirrors, far more forgiving than this bench. He speaks at length, about contracts, about expectations, about how people sometimes misunderstand success when they are standing too close to it. He gestures with open palms, the universal sign of reasonableness, as if logic itself lives in his hands. Across the room, the plaintiff remains still. Judge Judy does not interrupt. That silence encourages him. He leans forward slightly, just enough to look engaged without looking threatened. I run multiple companies, he explains. When you operate at this level, you rely on trust, verbal agreements, good faith. Unfortunately, not everyone is equipped to keep up. He does not look at the plaintiff when he says it. He looks at the cameras. A few heads nod in the gallery, not in agreement, but recognition. They have seen this before. Someone who believes vocabulary can replace accountability. Judge Judy finally speaks. Her voice is even. You are saying this is a misunderstanding. Exactly, he replies instantly, relieved. Nothing malicious, just business. She, he gestures vaguely, took things personally. The plaintiff's fingers tighten around her papers. Judge Judy's eyes flicker to that movement, just for a second. Personal how? She asks. The question is small, precise, like a pin aimed at something inflated. He shrugs. People attach emotion to money. I cannot control that. The air shifts. Not sharply, yet, but enough to be felt. Judge Judy lets the moment breathe. So your position is that your success excuses your behavior. The word behavior lands heavier than he expects. No, he laughs lightly, shaking his head. I am saying context matters. Perspective matters. Perspective again. Judge Judy nods slowly, as if agreeing. She glances at her notes, then back up at him. Then let us establish some. She asks about dates, about timelines, about specific promises. Each question is delivered calmly, without accusation, and each answer he gives is confident, detailed, absolute. Too absolute. He talks faster now, stacking explanations on top of explanations, eager to prove competence. He does not notice that Judge Judy has stopped writing. She watches him instead. When he finishes, the courtroom waits. Judge Judy tilts her head. You are very comfortable speaking, she says. Most people are not. He smiles again. Experience. Or habit, she replies. The smile tightens. Judge Judy taps her pen once. Now let us hear from someone who did not have the power in this situation. She turns toward the plaintiff, and for the first time since he walked in, the millionaire looks unsure where to place his eyes. The plaintiff inhales sharply, opens her folder, and says a name he did not expect to hear. Her voice is barely louder than the rustle of paper, but the room leans in anyway. The plaintiff stands slowly, as if afraid sudden movement might shatter whatever composure she has managed to assemble. She does not look at the cameras. She does not look at the man who has spent the last 20 minutes talking over her life like it was a spreadsheet error. Her eyes go straight to the bench. My name is... She stops, swallows, tries again. The pause is not weakness. It is restraint. She explains how it started simply. A contract. Clear terms. Promises made casually, confidently, with the same ease the millionaire used to speak moments ago. At first, everything felt legitimate, professional, almost respectful. Until it wasn't, she says. Her fingers tighten around the papers, not shaking, holding on. Payments came late, then not at all. Emails went unanswered, calls stopped being returned. When she followed up, the tone changed. Friendly reminders turned into sharp responses. Polite questions met with condescension. He told me I should be grateful for the opportunity, she says, eyes still forward. That people like me did not get chances like this twice. The words land unevenly, like stones dropped into still water. The millionaire shifts in his seat. Not much. Just enough. She continues, describing meetings where she waited too long in lobbies, invoices dismissed as misunderstandings, deadlines moved without explanation. Each detail is small on its own. Together, they form a pattern. Judge Judy listens without interrupting. The plaintiff's voice never rises. It does not need to. Emotion sits beneath it, controlled, disciplined, like something she learned the hard way. I kept records, she says, because I knew if I didn't, this would happen. She opens the folder. Paper slides against paper. The sound is louder than expected. Dates, messages, notes scribbled in margins, each document placed carefully on the podium, as if she is afraid rough handling might make them less real. The millionaire exhales sharply through his nose. This is all very one-sided, he mutters. Judge Judy does not look at him. The plaintiff hesitates, then adds quietly, "There is also an email from him. After I asked about the missing payment." She reads it. Not dramatically, just accurately. The words are not obscene. They are worse, dismissive, threatening in their casual certainty. A reminder of power disguised as advice. Judge Judy's pen stops moving. For the first time, she looks directly at the defendant. Not sharply, not angrily, but with interest. "You said earlier," Judge Judy begins, "that there was no written agreement of this nature." The millionaire opens his mouth, already prepared. The plaintiff interrupts herself for the first time. "I brought it," she says. "The agreement. He said it did not exist." She lifts a single page. The room stills. Judge Judy extends her hand. "May I?" The plaintiff walks it forward carefully, like she is handing over something fragile. Judge Judy reads. Slowly. The millionaire's smile does not return. Judge Judy looks up from the page and says, "This document raises a problem you are not going to like." Confidence does not shatter all at once. It fractures quietly, where no one expects it. Judge Judy keeps her eyes on the page longer than necessary. The room waits with her. Even the cameras seem reluctant to move. The paper rests between her fingers like something heavier than its weight suggests. "This agreement," she says at last, tapping the top margin once, "is dated 3 weeks before you claim negotiations even began." The millionaire leans forward instantly. "That is impossible." His response is too fast, too certain. Judge Judy looks up. "Impossible," she repeats, testing the word. "Or inconvenient?" He smiles again, but it is thinner now. "Your Honor, dates can be changed. Documents edited. Anyone can print anything." The plaintiff stiffens, but does not speak. Judge Judy nods slowly, as if considering his point. "You are correct," she says. "Documents can be altered." The millionaire exhales, encouraged. "Exactly." She turns the page, but metadata is less forgiving. The word lands differently. The courtroom does not react loudly, it reacts internally. A few heads lift, a breath catches somewhere in the back row. Judge Judy continues calmly. "This file was created on a server registered to your company. The original timestamp predates your version of events." The smile freezes. The millionaire opens his mouth, then closes it, tries again. "I would need to see proof of that." Judge Judy lifts her gaze. "You already have." She gestures to the plaintiff's folder. "This was provided before today, along with corroborating emails." The defendant shifts in his chair now, not dramatically, just enough to break posture. He laughs softly, attempting ease. "This is getting technical. The bigger picture, Judge Judy interrupts gently, "is that you told this court something that does not align with the evidence." Silence presses in from all sides. She flips back a page in her notes. "You said there was no written agreement." She looks up. "That was untrue." The millionaire's jaw tightens. "I said I did not recall." "No," Judge Judy corrects. "You said it did not exist." The distinction matters. Everyone feels it. He leans back, crosses his arms, armor reassembling itself. So what? A discrepancy. It does not change intent. Judge Judy studies him for a moment. It changes credibility. That word hits harder than any accusation. The plaintiff's shoulders lower slightly, not in relief, but recognition. Something has shifted, not victory. Direction. Judge Judy places the document down carefully. "This court does not punish success," she says, "but it does not excuse dishonesty." The millionaire swallows. He does not speak. For the first time since he entered the room, he is not sure what to say next. Judge Judy closes her folder and says, "And now I am going to ask you a question you should have prepared for." He feels it slipping, so he pushes harder. The millionaire straightens his jacket, tugging at the cuffs like a man resetting armor. When Judge Judy's question comes, it is not explosive. It is precise, surgical. "Why?" she asks. "Did the tone of your communication change after the payment stopped?" He blinks, once, then twice. "That is a subjective interpretation," he says quickly. "People read emotion where there is none." Judge Judy does not respond right away. She lets the answer hang, thin and fragile, suspended in the quiet. He fills the gap. "I deal with dozens of contractors," he continues. "When someone starts pushing, demanding, it disrupts workflow. I set boundaries. That is leadership, not intimidation." The words tumble out faster now, confidence accelerating into something sharper. The plaintiff looks down, jaw tight. Judge Judy raises a hand. Not high, just enough. "Boundaries," she repeats. "Are those boundaries documented?" He exhales, annoyed. "Again, we are circling the same issue. This is not personal. This is business." "You keep saying that," Judge Judy replies, "yet your emails say otherwise." She reads one line aloud, calm, neutral, unembellished. "If you cannot handle the pace, perhaps this opportunity was never meant for you." The room reacts this time, a murmur, a subtle intake of breath. The millionaire scoffs. "That is not a threat. That is feedback." "Feedback," Judge Judy says, "is not usually accompanied by unpaid invoices." He leans forward now, voice rising. "I did not refuse to pay. I delayed. That happens." "How long?" she asks. He hesitates. "That is not the point." "It is exactly the point." The sentence lands flat and final. He rubs his jaw, eyes darting briefly toward the cameras, as if searching for backup that is no longer there. "You are focusing on tone instead of facts," he says. "The facts are, she did the work poorly." The plaintiff's head lifts sharply. Judge Judy's gaze does not leave him. "Then you should have terminated the contract." He opens his mouth. "And paid what was owed," she finishes. Silence again, thicker this time. The millionaire leans back, crossing his arms tightly, defensive, closed. This feels punitive. Judge Judy's expression does not change. No. This feels revealing. She glances down at her notes. "You had the power. You had the money. And you used both to avoid accountability. That is your interpretation," he snaps. Judge Judy looks up slowly. "No, that is the pattern." The word hangs there. Pattern, not mistake, not confusion. Pattern. He laughs, short and brittle. "So what now? You are going to make an example of me?" Judge Judy meets his eyes. "No," she says evenly. "You already did that yourself." She pauses. "Now," she continues, "I would like to see your phone records for the weeks surrounding the missed payments." The confidence finally falters. Not visibly, but internally. It shows in the way his fingers stop moving, in the way his breath catches just enough to be noticed. He swallows hard and says, "I do not see how that is relevant." Silence is no longer neutral. It is pointed, and it is aimed directly at him. "I do not see how that is relevant." The sentence sounds rehearsed, but it lands flat, too defensive, too late. Judge Judy does not respond immediately. She does not need to. The pause does the work for her. It stretches, thick and deliberate, forcing the words he just spoke to echo back at him from every corner of the courtroom. "Relevance," she says finally, "is determined by truth, not comfort." The millionaire shifts in his seat. The movement is small, but it breaks the stillness like a crack in glass. "My phone records are private," he says. "This is turning into a fishing expedition." Judge Judy leans forward slightly. Not aggressively, intentionally. "You communicated with the plaintiff almost exclusively by phone during the period in question. You also claimed your delays were administrative. Those two facts either support each other, or they do not. She lets that sink in. The plaintiff watches him now. Not with anger. With something closer to disbelief. As if she is seeing him clearly for the first time. The millionaire opens his mouth, then closes it. He laughs softly, trying to reset. Look, I do not keep records of every call. I am busy. Judge Judy's eyes do not leave his face. Busy people still have call logs. Another pause. Longer this time. The courtroom feels smaller. Even the audience seems to lean inward, pulled by the gravity of what is not being said. Were there calls? Judge Judy asks. Yes, he replies quickly. Too quickly. Of course there were calls. How many? He hesitates. I do not know. Judge Judy nods once. You do not know because you do not want to know. The sentence is calm. It lands like weight. The millionaire's jaw tightens. His fingers tap against the table, then stop when he realizes everyone can see it. This is ridiculous, he snaps. You are making assumptions. No, Judge Judy replies. I am observing avoidance. The word hangs there. Avoidance. She turns slightly toward the plaintiff. Did he stop answering your calls? Yes, the plaintiff says quietly. No hesitation, no embellishment. Judge Judy turns back. Did you return any of her messages during that time? The millionaire stares straight ahead. He does not answer. Silence again. But this time, it hurts. Judge Judy lets it hurt. You see, she says, voice even, silence can be a strategy, and when someone with power uses silence against someone without it, that silence becomes pressure. The millionaire swallows. His earlier confidence is gone now, replaced by calculation. Damage control, survival. Judge Judy straightens. I am going to ask you again. She waits, just long enough. Did you return her calls? His answer comes out smaller than intended. No. The plaintiff exhales. It is not relief, it is release. Judge Judy nods once, writing something down. Thank you, she says. That will be all for now? He looks up sharply. That is it? Judge Judy meets his eyes. For this question. She pauses. And this is where things start to matter. Judge Judy closes her notebook and says, Now let us talk about why you stopped responding at all. If you were sitting in that courtroom, would you still believe silence is harmless, or is it just another form of control? Panic does not arrive screaming. It arrives pretending to be anger. The millionaire shifts forward abruptly, palms flat on the table now, posture no longer relaxed but confrontational. This is unbelievable, he says, voice sharp, louder than it needs to be. I am being interrogated like a criminal over a civil disagreement. Judge Judy does not react. That stillness unnerves him. You are twisting silence into something sinister, he continues, momentum building. People get busy, people disengage. That does not make them villains. The word villains hangs there, defensive, revealing. Judge Judy looks at him for a long moment, not with irritation, with clarity. No one called you a villain, she says. You did. A ripple moves through the gallery, subtle, unavoidable. He scoffs, shaking his head. This is bias. You have already decided who I am. Judge Judy raises an eyebrow slightly. You have been showing me who you are since you walked in. The sentence lands clean. No force, no emotion, just truth. The millionaire laughs, but it comes out wrong. Too short, too hollow. You think you can psychoanalyze me? On television? There it is. The cameras. The performance resurfaces, desperate now. He gestures broadly, appealing outward instead of upward. This is exactly why people do not take this seriously. It is a show. Judge Judy leans back, folds her hands again, the same posture from the beginning. But the meaning has changed. This is not a show, she says. This is a record. The word record stills him. You chose to speak the way you did, she continues. You chose to withhold communication, and now you are choosing to deflect instead of answer. I am defending myself, he snaps. No, she corrects. You are reacting. The difference hits harder than accusation. His breathing changes, quicker, shallower. He rubs his temple, frustration breaking through the polish. You are ignoring context, he says. Pressure, responsibility. You have no idea what it takes to operate at my level. Judge Judy tilts her head slightly. You are right, she says. I do not. He nods, encouraged for half a second. I operate at the level where excuses end. The encouragement collapses. The plaintiff watches silently, eyes wide now, not afraid, not hopeful, stunned. This is the man who once controlled every conversation, reduced to reacting instead of directing. The millionaire's voice cracks just slightly as he pushes back again. So what do you want from me? An apology? Judge Judy studies him. I want honesty. Silence. Real silence. He opens his mouth, closes it. His jaw works as if the right words are just out of reach. The mask, the charm, the certainty, the entitlement, slips enough for something raw to show underneath. Fear. Judge Judy leans forward just enough to be felt. Why? She asks quietly. Did you stop responding the moment she mentioned legal action? The question is not loud, but it is devastating. The millionaire's eyes flicker, not to the plaintiff, not to the cameras, but down, toward the table, as if the answer is written there and he is afraid to read it. The room feels calmer. That is how traps usually feel, right before they close. The millionaire finally looks up, eyes darting briefly before settling somewhere between the bench and the cameras. His voice, when it comes, is lower now, controlled, careful. I stopped responding because my attorneys advised me to, he says. Once someone threatens legal action, communication stops. That is standard. It sounds reasonable, responsible even. Judge Judy nods once, as if accepting the explanation. That is true, she says. Often it is wise. Relief flickers across his face, just for a moment. Then she adds, but only after legal counsel is actually involved. The relief vanishes. She reaches to her right and lifts a thin folder, not the plaintiff's, hers. This, she continues, tapping the cover lightly, was submitted before today. It includes a sworn statement from your former legal assistant. The millionaire freezes, not dramatically, completely. Judge Judy opens the folder. According to her, she says evenly, no attorney was contacted until weeks after you stopped responding to the plaintiff. The courtroom reacts this time. A collective shift, a sound like breath being pulled back. That is not, he starts. Judge Judy raises a finger, just one. He stops. She also provided internal timestamps, Judge Judy continues, showing you personally instructed staff to ignore all communication from the plaintiff. Quote, if we stop responding, she will go away. The words hit harder because they are not Judge Judy's. They are his. The millionaire's mouth opens. Nothing comes out. His throat works, swallowing air that does not help. Judge Judy closes the folder slowly, deliberately. So when you told this court your silence was legal advice, she says, that was untrue. The word untrue is softer than liar and far more devastating. The plaintiff's eyes fill, but she does not cry. She simply closes them for a second, like someone finally hearing confirmation of something they already knew. Judge Judy leans back, hands folding again, the same posture as the beginning, but now it carries authority, not patience. You thought, she says calmly, that silence would exhaust her, that money would outlast her resolve. The millionaire shakes his head weakly. That is not what happened. No, Judge Judy agrees. It is not. She looks directly at him now. No notes, no papers, just him. This case, she continues, is no longer about whether you owe money. The room holds still. It is about how you use power when you believe no one can stop you. The millionaire's shoulders slump. The performance is gone. No cameras, no charm, no deflection. Just exposure. Judge Judy pauses, long enough for the truth to settle. Then she says quietly, "And the only reason this matters now is because today someone finally did." Nothing has changed on the record, but everything in the room has. The millionaire feels it before anyone says a word. The shift is subtle, posture, breath, attention, but unmistakable. The audience is no longer curious. They are judging. The bailiff's stance is firmer. The plaintiff sits straighter, hands no longer clenched around her papers like a shield. Even the air feels different, as if it has chosen a side. He clears his throat. "I think we are losing sight of proportionality," he says carefully. "The volume is lower now, measured. This has become moral commentary." No one reacts. The judge's gaze stays steady. "You misunderstand," she replies. "This has always been about conduct." The word lands with weight. He nods quickly, eager. "Exactly. And mistakes happen. I am not perfect, but intent matters." The plaintiff looks up at that, just once. The look is not anger, it is disbelief. The judge turns slightly toward her. "You have been patient," she says. "You have been specific, and you have been consistent." Then she turns back to him. "You," she continues, "have been adaptive." He frowns. "Adaptive?" "Yes," she says. "Your story changes based on pressure." A murmur ripples through the gallery. He feels it like heat on his neck. "That is unfair," he says, a touch sharper than intended. "Anyone would adjust when new information is introduced." "Adjustment," the judge replies, "is different from revision." The distinction drains color from his face. He tries again. "Look, I am willing to settle this, right now. Write a check. End it." The plaintiff inhales sharply, then freezes. The judge does not look impressed. "You are offering money now," she says, "because you no longer control the narrative. That is not— You could have resolved this months ago," she continues. "Instead, you chose silence." The room stays quiet. No murmurs this time, no movement, just listening. He swallows. "I am trying to fix it." "No," the judge says gently. "You are trying to escape it." The word escape lands like a verdict preview. The plaintiff finally speaks, voice steady. "I did not want punishment," she says. "I wanted acknowledgement." The millionaire looks at her then. Really looks. For the first time, there is no calculation in his eyes, just confusion at being seen differently than he intended. The judge nods once. "And that," she says, "is why this matters." She glances at her notes, then looks up again, eyes sharpening just slightly. "There is something else," she adds, "something you have not addressed." He stiffens. "What?" She holds his gaze. "Your pattern." His mouth opens, ready to object. She lifts a hand, not to silence him, but to stop him from digging deeper. The judge says calmly, "Before I rule, I need to ask you about what happened to the last person who challenged you. At this moment, do you think regret means anything, or is it just fear, learning how to speak?" The voice that once filled the room now sounds smaller, not softer, thinner. The millionaire shifts in his chair again, but this time there is no confidence left to rearrange. His shoulders slope forward, elbows brushing the edge of the table as if he needs something solid to hold him upright. When he speaks, the sharpness is gone. "I have made mistakes," he says. The words land awkwardly, like a language he is not fluent in. Judge Judy does not respond immediately. She watches him the way a physician watches a patient, not for drama but for truth. The silence stretches, inviting him to continue. "I operate under constant pressure," he adds, quickly, afraid the moment might pass. "People expect results, perfection. Sometimes, things fall through the cracks." He glances toward the plaintiff, then away just as fast. The look is not apology, it is assessment, checking whether this version of himself might work. Judge Judy finally speaks. Pressure does not explain contempt. His jaw tightens. That was never my intention. No, she replies calmly. But it was your effect. The distinction lands hard. He exhales, hands spreading helplessly. I am not a bad person. Judge Judy nods once. That is not what we are deciding. The room is silent now in a different way. Not tense, attentive. The audience is no longer waiting for spectacle. They are watching a man try to survive exposure. I can fix this, he says suddenly. I can pay everything, add interest, whatever is owed. The plaintiff's breath catches, not hopeful, wounded. Judge Judy's gaze sharpens. You could always pay. He looks down. I did not think it would come to this. That, she says, is the problem. His voice drops. I did not think she would fight. The sentence slips out before he can stop it. The plaintiff stiffens. The room reacts with a quiet sound, not a gasp, but recognition. Judge Judy does not raise her voice. She does not need to. You underestimated her, she says. And you overestimated yourself. He swallows hard now. The arrogance has nowhere left to stand, so it collapses inward. I am asking you to understand, he says. I am asking for leniency. Judge Judy studies him for a long moment, the kind of look that sees past words and into motive. Leniency, she repeats. He nods, eyes flicking up, desperate now. Yes, she leans back slightly. Leniency is earned before judgment, not begged for after exposure. His eyes glisten. He blinks rapidly, composure fraying. I did not mean to hurt anyone. Judge Judy's voice softens, but only slightly. Impact does not require intention. The words hit him harder than any accusation. He opens his mouth again, but nothing comes. The performance is over. What remains is a man realizing, too late, that confidence cannot substitute character. Judge Judy glances at her notes, then back at him. There is still something you have not answered, she says. He looks up, afraid to ask. Judge Judy continues. What happened to the last person who did not accept your silence? The truth does not arrive shouting. It arrives when there is nowhere left to hide. The millionaire stares at the table as if it might offer guidance. It does not. His earlier urgency has drained away, replaced by something heavier, resignation mixed with calculation. When he finally speaks, his voice is quieter than before. There was someone else, he says. The courtroom does not move. Judge Judy does not interrupt. A consultant, he continues. A few years ago, similar situation. The plaintiff's eyes widen slightly. Judge Judy nods once. Go on. He clears his throat. They challenged me, claimed I owed them more than agreed, threatened legal action. And? Judge Judy asks. I stopped responding, he admits. Same approach. The admission hangs in the air, bare and unguarded. They went away, he adds quickly. It never escalated. Judge Judy's expression changes, not anger, not surprise, recognition. So, she says, this is not a misunderstanding. He shakes his head slowly. No. The word lands like a confession. This is a strategy, Judge Judy continues, one you have used before. The millionaire nods again, eyes still down. Most people cannot afford to fight, he says quietly. They get tired, scared. The courtroom absorbs that sentence in silence. It is the most honest thing he has said all day, and the ugliest. The plaintiff exhales sharply, tears finally escaping despite her restraint. She wipes them away quickly, embarrassed by their timing. Judge Judy leans forward now, not to attack, but to focus. You are not here because you made a mistake, she says. You are here because you assumed intimidation would work again. He does not argue. You believed, she continues, that money could outlast truth. The millionaire's voice cracks for the first time. It usually does. The sentence stuns the room. Judge Judy does not raise her voice. She does not have to. Not today. She pauses, letting the words settle. This is the first time, she adds, anyone has forced you to stay in the room long enough to see yourself. He looks up then, really looks. His eyes are wet, unfocused, stripped of performance. For the first time, there is no defense left, only realization. I did not think it would feel like this, he whispers. Judge Judy holds his gaze. That is accountability. The plaintiff straightens, not victorious, grounded. Judge Judy leans back, hands folding once more. The cycle complete. She closes her folder and says quietly, "And now we are going to talk about consequences." No one speaks. Because there is nothing left to argue. The millionaire sits motionless, hands resting on the table as if they belong to someone else. His shoulders are slumped now, posture collapsed inward. The way buildings look after the fire is out, but before anyone has assessed the damage, the confidence, the anger, even the desperation, all gone. What remains is quiet. Judge Judy lets the silence live. She does not rush to fill it. She knows better than that. This is the moment people learn the most, when the noise is gone and the truth has nowhere to hide. The plaintiff wipes her face again, slower this time. She is not embarrassed anymore. The tears are not weakness now, they are release. Her breathing steadies, her hands relax. For the first time since she entered the courtroom, she is not bracing for impact. Judge Judy turns toward her. "I want you to understand something," she says, voice calm, grounded. "What happened to you was not accidental, and it was not imagined." The plaintiff nods, lips pressed together, emotion flickering across her face, relief mixed with grief for the months she spent doubting herself. Judge Judy continues, "You were put in a position where silence was used as leverage. That is not business. That is control." The millionaire does not look up. He does not need to. Every word lands anyway. The courtroom remains still. No murmurs, no reactions. Just listening. Judge Judy shifts her gaze back to him. "You are not being punished for being successful," she says. "You are being held accountable for how you treated someone who did not have your resources." He swallows hard. "I did not think it would go this far," he says quietly. Judge Judy nods once. That sentence explains everything. She folds her hands, leans back slightly. The authority is still there, but now it is tempered with something else. Gravity. "You assumed," she continues, "that time, money, and silence would do your work for you." He finally looks up. His eyes are red, not theatrical, exhausted. "And they almost did," she adds. The plaintiff inhales sharply at that. Judge Judy notices. "But almost," the judge says, "is not enough." She glances down at her notes one final time, then closes the folder with deliberate care. The sound is soft, but it echoes. It feels like a door closing. The millionaire's hands tremble just slightly now. He presses them together, trying to steady them. Judge Judy straightens. "This court exists," she says, "for moments exactly like this, when power forgets itself." She pauses, lets the words settle into the room, into him, into the story that will follow him long after today. Then she looks directly at him. "I am ready to rule." The courtroom leans forward as Judge Judy draws a breath, and the gavel remains still. The verdict does not arrive like thunder. It arrives like truth, steady and unavoidable. Judge Judy does not lift her voice when she begins. She never does when the moment matters most. The courtroom is silent enough that even the faint hum of the lights feels intrusive. "This case," she says, "was never complicated." The millionaire stiffens slightly, as if bracing for impact. "It was delayed," she continues. "Avoided, manipulated, but not complicated." She looks down at her notes, not because she needs them, but because process matters, precision matters. And then she looks back up. "You entered into an agreement, Work was performed, payment was withheld, communication was deliberately cut off. Each sentence lands cleanly. No judgment yet, just facts, the kind that cannot be argued with anymore. You used silence, she adds, as leverage, and you did so knowing the imbalance of power. The plaintiff's shoulders lift slightly as she inhales, not relief, not triumph, recognition. Judge Judy turns to her. You are owed the full amount agreed upon, she says, plus applicable interest for the delay. The words settle gently like something carefully placed rather than thrown. Then she looks back at the defendant. This is not punishment, she says. It is correction. The millionaire nods faintly. There is no protest left in him. But, Judge Judy continues, there is something more important than money here. She pauses. The pause is intentional. You treated accountability as optional, she says, and you treated another person's livelihood as expendable. The courtroom remains still. No applause, no gasps, just absorption. I am ordering payment in full, she concludes, and I am documenting this conduct as a pattern. The word pattern returns, final now. The millionaire swallows. Understood, he says quietly. Judge Judy nods once. Good. She does not smile. She does not scold. She simply finishes. Success does not exempt you from decency, she says, and wealth does not rewrite responsibility. She leans back slightly, hands folding again. The posture of completion. The plaintiff sits very still, eyes glassy but focused, as if afraid movement might disrupt the reality of what she just heard. Judge Judy glances at her one last time. You did the right thing by staying, she says. That matters. Then she turns back to the bench. The gavel remains untouched. Judge Judy looks at the defendant and adds, but we are not finished yet. Money can repair damage. Disrespect leaves a different kind of debt. Judge Judy does not reach for the gavel. She does not need it yet. Instead, she leans forward slightly, resting her hands on the desk, not in judgment, but in address. This is no longer about what is owed on paper. This is about what lingers after. You came into this courtroom, she says, voice steady, believing the rules bent for you. The millionaire lifts his eyes, then lowers them again. He does not interrupt. He has learned that lesson too late, but not too late to listen. You laughed, she continues. You dismissed this process, and you treated this court and this person as an inconvenience. She gestures briefly toward the plaintiff. Not to spotlight her, but to acknowledge her presence. The plaintiff sits upright now, no longer shrinking, no longer bracing. Judge Judy's tone does not sharpen. That restraint makes the words heavier. Disrespect, she says, is rarely loud at first. It hides behind charm, behind success, behind the belief that consequences are for other people. The courtroom remains utterly still. Even the audience seems aware this is not a moment to react, only to absorb. You used silence as a weapon, Judge Judy continues. You assumed exhaustion would do your work for you. That is not strategy. That is avoidance dressed up as authority. The millionaire nods faintly. Each sentence lands without resistance now. She pauses, letting the space fill with meaning. There is a cost to that, she says. Not just financial, reputational, ethical, personal. The word personal lands hardest. You asked for leniency, she adds. But leniency does not erase patterns, and it does not excuse contempt. The plaintiff's eyes glisten again, but this time there is no pain in them. Only closure, taking shape. Judge Judy straightens slightly. This ruling ensures compensation, she says, but it also ensures record. And records matter. She looks directly at the defendant now. No anger, no disappointment, just clarity. You are not leaving here as a victim of this process, she says. You are leaving as a participant in it. The millionaire swallows hard. I understand, he murmurs. Judge Judy nods once. Good. She glances down, then back up, as if sealing something invisible but permanent. Because the real cost of disrespect, she concludes, is realizing too late that it was never free. She reaches for the gavel, not yet striking it, just resting her hand on it. The sound it will make feels inevitable now. Judge Judy lifts the gavel slightly, pauses, and says, "This court is adjourned, but the lesson is not." Before the gavel falls, ask yourself, if you had that kind of power, would you have used it differently? The sound is softer than anyone expects, because the real weight landed long before it. Judge Judy brings the gavel down with a single, controlled strike, not sharp, not dramatic, final. The sound echoes briefly, then disappears into the quiet it creates. "That concludes this matter," she says. The words do not feel like an ending. They feel like a seal. The millionaire stands slowly, unsure of the timing, unsure of himself. For a moment he looks around as if waiting for something, outrage, sympathy, a second chance to explain. None comes. The cameras remain still. The audience does not move. The room has already moved on. He gathers his papers, hands less steady than he would like. The suit still fits perfectly. The confidence no longer does. Across the aisle, the plaintiff exhales a breath she did not realize she had been holding for months. Her shoulders drop, not in celebration, in release. She does not smile. She simply sits there, lighter than she arrived, finally seen. Judge Judy watches them both for a moment. The case is over, but the consequence is not just written on paper. It is written on posture, on silence, on the way people leave the room. "Court is adjourned," she repeats. The bailiff opens the door. The gallery begins to stir. Low murmurs return, ordinary sounds reclaiming space after something heavy has passed through it. The millionaire pauses at the exit. Just for a second. He looks back, not at the cameras, not at the judge, but at the plaintiff. There is no apology, no words at all, only the faint recognition that something he once dismissed has changed him. Then he leaves. The plaintiff stands, clutching her folder, now thinner than before. She nods once toward the bench. Judge Judy returns the nod, not warmly, not coldly, respectfully. Another case, another lesson. Judge Judy gathers her notes, the courtroom lights catching the edges of the paper as she closes the folder. Her expression is calm but tired in the way that comes from holding people accountable over and over again. As she rises, the camera lingers on the empty defendant's table. The seat where arrogance once sprawled now sits vacant, ordinary, unimpressive. The gavel rests where she placed it. Justice today was not loud, it did not humiliate, it did not need applause, it simply refused to move. And in the end, that was enough.